I want to tell you about a veteran who has served his country and then served in an entirely different way. Somebody that you know. Let's call him Joe. He started having problems in his stomach on September of 2022. He tried to self-diagnose, thought maybe it was lactose intolerance or, allergic to gluten or whatever. Come December, the pain is so bad that he goes to the emergency room at the VA center, and he's sent home with pain medication, but no real answers. The pain got worse and worse, and Joe went back to the emergency room. They found then a mass on his pancreas. The VA did a test, told him it was cancer. Then they called back 4 days later and said, oh, no, you know what? It isn't cancer. Then on January 11th, the VA called and said, no, it is cancer. It's stage 3 pancreatic cancer. So he goes through 8 rounds of chemo. But unfortunately, the cancer had spread to his liver as well. The VA wouldn't work with him and his wife. They wanted to try naturopathic medicines as well. And it was, this is the way we do things, and that's it. When you're talking about somebody's life or your own life, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. So they started looking around the country and the world for alternatives. And Joe and his wife said, God has answered our prayers. Joe was accepted to Cancer Treatments of America, known as the City of Hope, where they do Western medicine and naturopathic medicine. Unfortunately, as of July 26th, the new chemo has stopped working. Now Joe's on a list for a new trial medicine for pancreatic cancer. Unfortunately, there is not a current start date for the new trial. They're trying to move to Wisconsin be around more family and get more support for family. And their 3 young, beautiful children. His wife's name is Katie. His name is Joe, but you know him as Joe the Plumber. And he's on with us now. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
You bet. You sound a lot different than you did when we first spoke all those many years ago. How are you holding up?
Oh, every day is a blessing. I wake up in the morning and I'm here, so that makes me happy. But you got good days and bad days. Today's a little rougher than some, but again, I'm here and I'm grateful for it.
Is it the pain, Joe, or is it the treatment? Or because you were violently ill all the time with the chemo, were you not?
Yeah, the chemo, that's one of the things my wife and I struggled with a lot when we first got diagnosed. Do we do Western medicine? Do we do all natural? We prayed a lot and talked a lot, and we said, well, why don't we do both? And so,
right.
We started doing the chemo, but at the same time, my wife has researched everything underneath the sun, and there's so many Facebook groups out there and organizations that will lead you down the naturopathic route as well. And so, I try to do a little bit of both, but sometimes the chemo will keep you from taking pills or taking supplements. Makes you tired all the time, makes you very sick. And, I dropped over 100 pounds. I went from 250 and right now I weigh 146 pounds.
How's the VA treating you?
Well, there were some incredible people that we met at the VA, people that really liked their job, people that really tried hard. But when it came to the oncologist departments, you kind of nailed it on the head when you were reading or talking about it earlier. This is what we do. This is the way we do it. If you want to do anything else, you're going to have to go outside of our scope. We would ask them about vitamin C treatment. We would ask them about mistletoe. And these are 2 things that they've been doing overseas for years. And they saw some good things from them, but it's nothing that the VA wanted any part of. And I even got my dander up a little bit and said, listen, me being a plumber, I want to know everything about plumbing there is. That way, when a customer comes to me and asks me about it, I have an answer. when my wife and I come to you and talk to you about this, your guys' eyes glaze over, and you don't even want to even think about it. And it got me angry, because it just seems that a lot of hospitals and big pharma get in the way of any real movement going forward to cure some of this stuff. If they can't make money off of it, they don't want to research it.
I know. So, Joe, you have been very active. You're active in your community. You've been raising money for a school. You've traveled the country, just giving speeches for a long time, because you were roped into politics about 2008. And you have 3 young children. How old are your children?
My oldest, I don't know if you remember, but I was a single dad for years. So I have a 28-year-old son that I raised by myself, and he's doing outstanding. And then, the Lord blessed me with my current wife, and we have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. The oldest, the 10-year-old's a girl, and the 8-year-old's a boy, and the 5-year-old's another girl.
Tell me about Katie.
Katie, I've been calling her Wonder Woman ever since this has started. She has been such a rock for me. I mean, between making sure that I get to church, to running around, making sure I have a glass of water, to doing all the research that she can. I think she knows. Sometimes I think she knows more than the doctors, because her nose ain't in a book reading about cancer and the next step that we can do. And she's taking care of either the 3 kids, or she's taking care of my dad, or she's taking care of me.
You're taking care of your dad. In fact, you started to build a basement for your dad, because your dad had an aneurysm, right?
Yeah, years ago, my dad had an inoperable aneurysm, and the 3rd best neurosurgeon in the world came along and said, "Hey, I think I can help you here." And it was touch and go. We lost him a couple times on the table, but he came through it. But he still, it didn't leave him in a position to care for himself as much. And my wife just fell in love with my mom, who passed away from cancer a couple years ago. She fell in love with my dad, and she treats him just like her own parents. And she goes over and does his bills. She goes over and does all his shopping. Goes over and cleans his house. I mean, she just she doesn't stop. It's just everybody else has 24 hours in a day, and it seems like she's got 48 hours, as much as she gets done.
So you are. There's been a. Excuse me. There has been a Give, Send, Go that has been opened. You just search for Joe the Plumber. And they're trying to raise money to not only help with medical, but also to you're trying to finish the basement for your dad, right?
Well, that kind of goes up in the air. If we move to Wisconsin, my dad's praying about it right now, but there's not actually a lot of support for him there either. If we move, he's got some sisters there in the surrounding area, but Katie's just not. Katie's worried that they wouldn't be there for him as much as he might need, and so we're actually looking. Glenn, I believe in God. I'm a Christian, and I know God can perform miracles at any time, and I truly believe that. It's an incredible feeling knowing that. But at the same time, pancreatic cancer is no joke, and most people unfortunately pass away from it. And so, as a husband and a father, I just want to make sure my wife and children have the support they're going to need in case it goes the other way. And so, moving them to Wisconsin and having her parents here and her 2 sisters here, and the kids as cousins will really help. But it'll really help offset some of the pain and hurt that. I'm sorry, excuse me, but it'll really help. So that's what we're trying to make happen right now. It's one thing, I tell you what, it's amazing. Just you got your friends and family, but it's incredible the amount of people I don't know who have reached out to offer prayers, to offer donations. There are so many great people in this world, and I've been thankful to meet a lot of them, and some of them do anonymous donations, and it's been incredible in that regards. But yeah, no, we need to really focusing on a couple things. One is getting my wife and kids up here so that they'll have the support they need as things move forward, and we're still looking for alternative medicines. We're still looking at different clinics around the country. I'm on one list for a trial, but there's no date. City of Hope is reaching out to some other hospitals in America and seeing if there's any trials that I might be able to get. And the one thing with the trials is that you have to fly to them or drive to them, and right now we've been driving from Ohio to Illinois for the last 3.5, 4 months. Getting. And going through Chicago is not easy. It's never easy getting through Chicago, but it's difficult. But it's your life, and so you'll do whatever it takes to keep that life. It's precious.
Joe, I've only got about a minute. But I want to thank you for everything that you have done for the country and standing up and being brave enough and taking all of the hits. I remember all of the hits that you took over and over and over again. And just for being an average citizen and asking an honest question, do you have, as you face this, do you have any advice or thoughts on life?
Ultimately, I just pray more people come to God, Glenn. It's one thing that helped me through all this from day one was staying grounded, reading the good book, and knowing that God was in charge and I wasn't. And so, if you need help, if you need strength, God promised He'll be with us. He doesn't promise an easy road, but He promised that He'd be with us, and that's something that my family and I have leaned on for a very long time. And so that's the one thing. You can take strength from God and know that there are a lot more good people out there than bad. We have some differences out there, but ultimately people want to do good things, and that's been incredible to see throughout this last almost year.
Joe, rest assured, if a miracle doesn't happen, that we are here for Katie and your kids, and we'll make sure that they're taken care of.
I can't thank you enough, Glenn. You've been very, very nice, and I just really appreciate your concern. Thank you so much.
You're good. Good, man. Thank you. It's Joe the Plumber. You can go to Give, Send, Go. And just search for Joe the Plumber. That's givesendgo.com. Search for Joe the Plumber if you can help the family out.